Welcome to Loleventvods. Watch the full game from EMEA Masters, Winter 2025.
Also draws a lot of attention towards the way they want to play, right?
Yeah, I think Baus is like a perfect example for someone who has like a really different approach to everybody else because he just plays his own game. He doesn't play top lane, he plays Baus lane. And I think that really makes him unique because he plays like the Cyan, we saw the Vi happening, we saw the Poppy that you already mentioned. And I think maybe if the day is right, there may be popping up some Cho'Gath action on top lane. So you're always up in a surprise for him. And as we already can see, the Gragas is banned, the Cyan is banned. He is just catching these bans like flies.
Yeah, exactly. Which makes it hard for him to just maybe have that role he wants to play. On the other hand, he also, even on the Champions, he gave away a lot of kills, so he was still that strong. In the meantime, we noticed a couple of picks coming through just real quick to maybe seek for the balance we can make from this analysis. SIM, do you feel like those teams are close by regarding the skill, or is one of those teams better than the other? Just up front.
I'd say that SuperMassive, just by the way how clean they've made their macro thus far in comparison to Ratones, who are basically like... It's not like their macro isn't clean, but they're more playing a solo queue-esque kind of way where Nemesis, Crowny, and Baus are just farming a lot, but not necessarily fighting a lot around objectives, which is sometimes makes it awkward that if you want to fight the enemy team, that they've already set up a fight and you now have to move into the enemy's hand, which can be difficult from time to time, but it's most of the time the wallet diff that then makes for Ratones to win. If that wallet diff isn't there, like we've seen against Carmen Core Blue in the second game...
negative wallet diff.
Yeah, they just get completely overrun. So I do give SuperMassive a bit of an edge because this is just a team that has been playing in competitive for so long, not necessarily together, but at least as individuals, that they just know how the game is played solidly.
Yeah, I think we also can see like that they're approaching also the draft a bit differently here because I think a lot of teams drop the Corki. And I think in this case you can be really sure that this is probably gonna be a Corki on bot lane because Massive is like one of the only teams that is still playing the Corki in the bot lane and prioritizing him really highly. Meanwhile, on like Ratones' side, this will be probably a long game again. I mean, they still hold like the longest average game time in this tournament that we still have with 38 minutes in average. So they like their games long, they like to drag it out, they like to play the team fights later on. I mean, we didn't have 3 other dragons in that game for no reason.
Exactly. I mean, they also dragged that one of those few games went to, I believe, 58, 55 minutes or so in total. Yeah. So they made sure to drag out those games, but also they make it difficult for teams to find their angle to maybe punish them for that wallet diff, which might be negative at some times. In the meantime, all bans are coming through. Also, Poppy and Quinn are being taken off the board by SuperMassive. Still targeting that poor Baus. I mean, he's dragging so many bans towards
4 out of 5.
Oh, it's so sad, man. Will we ever see a sign in SIM? I don't think we will, right?
I feel like it's not an option unless it's SuperMassive on the blue side and they just first pick it just to rub it in the face of Baus. Look, it's open, but you still are not going to get to play it. And it would also make sense if you pick it up on blue side for SuperMassive as well, right? Because it also means that now that the sound is out of the rotation, you don't have to spend another ban on it anymore. So that leaves room open for other bans that are not Baus targeted. It is like kind of interesting to see that Ratones is still valuing, well, of course Maokai is still a flex pick, but I don't see it as often going to Baus. And it feels like his champion pool is so limited by now that it's just really difficult to draft it properly into them.
I mean, I love to see it. We're gonna get a LeBlanc in this game. Really interesting, but I like it. You already said on desk earlier, SIM, that Fiesta, he likes to play this carry on his champions. And we already know that Ratones will like long games, so I definitely like the option with the LeBlanc being able to pressure Azim maybe in the early game a bit more. And then, if that isn't an option anymore, maybe going to side and still pushing with the Jax. That is an option I like, because we haven't seen her before.
Yeah, and also imagine how difficult it is to maintain a side lane. When LeBlanc is in the fog of war for just 4 seconds, you have to be aware that she could be anywhere ganking you and helping you along in those side lanes. So yeah, LeBlanc in the hands of Fiesta, something I look forward to, especially after what I heard from you two guys, that she can be strong, man, in the hands of Fiesta. Of course, there's still one answer left from Ratones. Seems like Reckless is having the last and final pick. SCM, what do you feel like could round out their comp? And is it Rakan?
My initial expectation, I have to say, was probably a Braum, because we've seen this Ezreal Braum lane from Ratones so many times, but we also know that in Carry's champion pool, Rakan is also a really important champion. So picking it away already in the first game means that he also cannot play it to the rest of the series. So it makes sense to pick the Rakan away from your opponent over getting the Braum for yourself already, the enemy picking Rakan, and now both being unavailable for the rest of the series.
Yeah, definitely. I think I also like the Rakan like as an option to get like a bit more mobility into the draft, because I think that would be like really crucial to survive some later fights and also protecting the Ezreal later on. But I maybe would have liked the Braum even more, as I already said. But in the end, we have like two really interesting team combos. I think that's like a game where we need Supermassive always on those side lanes. We need to get like an early game lead. And I think if the game goes longer than probably like 38 minutes, then Ratones is gonna win.
which could be a good option
I
with
mean,
Ratones.
the chances are kind of high, right?
Fair enough. All right, guys. So we got all the picks and bans. They've come through. Time to maybe give us some predictions. This is the entire lineup for the first game of the quarterfinals, and I got good news for you guys. I just saw our casters jumping around in their rooms, so they're hyped up already. What do you feel like is going to happen in this game? SIM, give us your conclusions.
To me, this is going to be a game that even when stalled out later, I see Crit, Corki, and Jack still overrun the side lanes and the team fights as well. So therefore, this game for me is going to Supermassive.
I'm
Massive.
also aboard the Supermassive hype train.
It seems like SuperMassive will grab their very first win, and I got good news. And I want to thank you guys so much for all the analysis and of course the big hype you give us towards this desk. But it's time to kick it over towards our casters, and I got very good news for you. I just saw within our small OBS VOD ninja that they were jumping around. They're hyped. They want to get towards this game. Let's give them a word. It's of course two casters there already, Black Boxer and Taha.
Thank you very much, Bo. We're straight in onto the Rift Block. So Los Ratones qualifying to the knockouts, representing the NLC for the first time here in 3 old years. Up against TCL #1, it is another step up in difficulty today.
Oh, it really is. Los Ratones coming in, only having dropped one game for themselves all year, and then all of a sudden they get kind of smacked around by Carmine. It was a really interesting game for them. It didn't look so hot. They've been able to pull it back. Their remaining couple of games have looked much better, but you're definitely right. Supermassive are going to be another beast entirely.
It was tough to watch that one. It was tough to watch. It was tough to hear as well, because obviously Los Ratones being so transparent in the way they're sharing their comms and sharing the players' experience, the coaching experience from the games. It gives you an insight into, you know, some of the problems that they've had in terms of just keeping the mental game on lock as the games get tougher, and they're only going to get tougher. This is knockouts now. We do not have time to waste. They do at least have a full best of 5 this time to play it out, and maybe we'll get to see some of that veterancy coming through from Nemesis, from Crowley, from Reckless, who have been in those high pressure situations before.
Exactly. And you can definitely look towards veterancy for both Los Ratones and for Supermassive. A lot of these guys have been around the block for a while. Specifically, Armor, right, has also played on the highest stages imaginable. And right now, in a matchup that, I gotta be honest, I don't think pro players end up in particularly often. The Garen into Jax matchup. Now, the Jax we've been seeing a lot recently. It's been doing great for itself. The flanks, specifically in teamfights, have been massive. But this is a very bounce pick.
Yeah, 100%, right? It gives him a decent matchup to play through. And, oh, the hooks first. Carry onto Crowley right there. No E, of course, at the edge of this lower level. Gets a Mystic shot back. Has to step away and respect the level 2, but a decent start for the Supermassive bot duo. But you're absolutely right. On Faust, they were really focusing on the bans, right? 4 out of 5 bans are targeting this player. They're trying to limit this guy and stop him being able to do what he does so well, which is, you know, hold aggro for the entire enemy team and drag them into his world while the rest of the map is solved for Los Ratones. The Garen is not as good at that, right? He can't necessarily be solely split pushing and solely kind of proxying and doing the usual Faust maneuvers. He's kind of got to get stuck in the fights or something.
And we'll have to see how Baus is going to be able to navigate that one, as it looks like Skeen's going to try to steal away this blue buff. Wheeler is in the area, but he doesn't really have a lot of friends at the moment. The rest of Los Ratones is very much not going to arrive to help take this one away. Doesn't end up losing his Grom, so it's not going to be the end of the world right here, but still not the ideal, and exactly what you want to be doing on this Sejuani. Getting as much priority as you can early on. You heard it from the desk, right? They really want to see Supermassive get themselves an early advantage, and the Sejuani a great champion to be able to do that with.
Smooth early play from Supermassive, using the priority that they got in that top of mid lane to do away the camp. Put Velia a little bit behind. Crowley, now with an E on deck, can buffer that hook away, but the pressure's still on from Bow and Carry's side. Fiesta getting a good trade on to Nemesis, trying to get the last few games with old LeBlanc aesthetics in before they change it. The rework, I think, has everyone pretty excited, but Fiesta wants a couple more on the old style as Velia.
Wow.
That's the flash away. Skeens is just in full control of this topside river.
Yeah, this is the thing with the Sejuani into Maokai matchup. You just can bully this Maokai around. Velia is just losing out on so much at the moment. It's such low health as well, meaning that everybody on Supermassive is going to know where he's at, not going to be too worried about getting ganked right now. Like I said, there's been plenty of priority across the map for them as well. Someone I would also like to highlight, man on your screen right now, is Reckless going to run away, possibly going to have to flash here. Don't know if Carry has the flash. Yeah, hook comes through. And it is Carry. Carry had honestly one of the best Pyke performances I've seen ever, potentially. Just was absolutely styling on Z10 in their matchup. Completely took over the game. So clearly very comfortable on these Hook champions. And Nautilus, another one that you can take over. Not quite in the same way, of course, as the Pyke, but the Nautilus has been even higher priority for good reason. It really can just carry your entire team. And the duo between a Nautilus and a Sejuani can really take over.
100%, and to Carry's credit, being able to manage out a professional Pyke game is something that a lot of supports, I think they feel like they can do, and then maybe they claim they can do, but in reality, it often does not work out. It's a very different kind of pace and style of champion to maneuver around with, so Carry's showing that depth of pool right there, but can still bring out the classics. The Nautilus spots a proxying Baus on the recall, finds a hook to slow him down just a touch. Probably not going to find much of a kill. Fiesta not currently moving. They don't look like they want to get the punish down too early, but Carry, if he wants to stick around here, Armut could rotate over, and Baus, I think, is wondering, do I have to leave?
Yeah.
Or has he just given him the slip and is going to stay where he was?
Skins is in the area, might check this bush. If he does, he will be able to get that in time to stop this recall. Oh, not quite. Didn't know exactly where Baus was. Potentially didn't even want to tussle with this Garen, but it is going to be the teleport then taken away from Baus. Armut himself in a pretty good spot in this lane. Yeah, you're getting proxied on a little bit, but it's not particularly resulting in any deficit of experience or CS or anything like that. It's just a little bit safer for the Garen to be able to do, and it keeps Armut in a good spot as well. And I would be surprised if we don't get to see a little bit more attention going towards this top side. Baus doesn't necessarily draw a lot of jungle attention, but on this Garen, especially into the Jax matchup, I think you can try to influence it quite a lot, and trying to get a Jax ahead, that could be huge.
Yeah, normally we're seeing Baus abandoned on top side, remaining even through his own machinations and his own techniques, but he's not necessarily being assisted, as you say, in that one by Ratones' team squad as Nemesis looks to try and get a shove back onto Fiesta, snaps back into the lane, and we'll go W for ult trade. He's loving that.
Yeah, that's exactly what you want to do in this matchup. You can really begin to bully out this Azir. Usually such a safe champion. The Azir, the Orianna, these are the two mid laners that you pick when you don't particularly want to engage with your opponents until you get to these team fights. So LeBlanc, one of the few champions that can actually begin to get things going. Not necessarily expecting any solo kills, but you can see Nemesis just being kept on his toes right now, and removing that ulti when the first couple of objectives that we're going to be looking to play around are beginning to spawn. Now that could change things.
Absolutely, and this is just the mark of the quality of players that Ratones find themselves up against right now. They had a pretty easy split in the NLC. They took first place without too much trouble, but Supermassive, perhaps a different breed as Velia, of course on his own in the river. Twisted advance in to buy some time, but it's first blood into Fiesta's pocket.
Yeah, like you said, the opponents had a very easy time for themselves in the NLC. Not the same for Supermassive. They actually really had to tussle back and forth. Ended up going down into the losers bracket of their playoffs, but were just able to claw through, and now looking like one of the most dominant teams. Fiesta gonna go in on Nemesis here. I love the confidence, but without the ulti on Nemi still, you don't need to be worried about it. Probably needs to go back to base now. He's really just asserting his dominance on the Rift at the moment.
No mana for Fiesta in that trade. Had the flash, managed to hold on to it. Failure, or Nemesis I should say, going back to holding that wave as the first dragon picked up by Schemes Uncontested. Schemes, a name that many may remember, has been around in the European region for a long old time. It comes in onto Reckless again. Big trade. That Corki damage is still a bit monstrous if he gets that ego in.
And so the desk, they were highlighting very heavily that they thought Supermassive needed to get themselves an early advantage. They've been able to do so, not massive in terms of the gold, but they've been in control of the Rift so far. Once we get to these skirmishes though, that's the point at which this competition really needs to start finding ways in, and it's not an easy front-to-back team fight that they're going to be playing for. Fiesta and Bao, they're going to have to try a little bit more hypey with it in these team fights. Same sort of thing for Armut. He's going to chase onto Baus right now, blows the flash, dang.
Don't want any part of that one. Baus loses the summoner on an aggressive maneuver, gets a plate down, but not much more as the trading still heavy in the mid lane, but Fiesta, of course, got in that kill. A couple of stacks on the Dark Shield in the Lost Chapter. These LeBlanc skills are really going to sting for Nemesis. You can see having to go into an early Null Magic Mantle really wants to mitigate that damage.
Yeah, the fact that you're having to do that just does not feel good. It really is going to delay your way to getting into that perfect spot for the Azir. Okay, just constantly being spotted out right now. Isvelia isn't able to walk around the rift in any sort of safe way at the moment. He's just walked past another ward, and it really has kept everybody from Supermassive very safe at the moment. They've been in quite a good amount of control in all of their lanes so far, as you would expect with this draft, but it's good to see them playing it out as intended so far. We've got a minute 15 until the next set of grub spawn. Now, Supermassive were able to get the first 3, so they're definitely going to be looking towards that next set. Getting all 6 here on a composition with a Jax, that would be great.
Gang sets up the easy ult connection. The Blackwood Spouse has nowhere to go. Just trying to clear out the minions. The Jax Sejuani combo is devastating, and Val's just with no options to escape.
No, just completely gets run over right there. Now, Faust, no straight dying, not something to worry too much about. But still, you don't want to be giving these early kills over, especially onto the Jax right here. Fiesta actually does get hit by the ult. He's fine.
Comes out right now. Velia not in range. And again, it's ult for W trade for Nemesis and Fiesta. They're trying to make an impact onto this LeBlanc, but just can't get it to stick.
No, and it's exactly what you want to be doing on the LeBlanc, right? And Fiesta, one of those great players that you've got on Supermassive, somebody to definitely be looking at. A lot of the mid laners in the current meta have been playing far safer champions, not ones that are quite so much about you specifically carrying, more looking to help out the rest of your team. Not the case with the LeBlanc, of course. Being able to get an early kill and avoid so much destruction early on is great. Faust can get focused again.
Dear, oh dear, the permafrost is out, and it's another kill. This time, it's picked up by Skeens, the feat of warfare claim for Supermassive. Again, this is the usual MO for the Lost Ratones top laner, but on the Garen, it just feels like there's maybe less scope for him to be more valuable with more depth as he is with his other picks. His Lost Ratones don't want to give up this entire top side. They've pushed Supermassive out of the rub pit. Ult comes across for Crowley just to steal that one away is the plan, and they'll happily, I think, cede the rest. No need to go crazy for it.
Well, you say that, but it doesn't look like Lost Ratones agree necessarily. They are sticking around just a little bit. Could potentially try for something. I think it would be a mistake, like you said. Yeah, they're just going to watch the rest of the grubs go down. 5 picked up right here for Supermassive. They're going to be more than happy with that one. I can understand Los Ratones, though, not wanting to give over all 6. As he pings onto this bot lane right now. Ooh, the hook just about misses. That should dissuade any over-aggressive plays.
Is there with a flash of null, but they pin down on the top. I don't know. The message just going aggressively. The Sejuani is still there, and they're completely up in the lane. Val takes the credit. Crowny with an E. Velia and Nemesis around the corner with a lovely hook from Carry. Sews up the double. Nemesis just watching helplessly from the river as the third goes down. The triple for Val.
Just a destruction in the top lane right here. Los Ratones, they think they might have found an angle for themselves. You can see that you have support coming in. Velia, Nemesis, they're on their way up, but it's just not quick enough, and it's the amount of CC that you've got between Carry and Skeens in this situation that means you just cannot get away. Everybody loves to be playing a couple of melee champions alongside the Sejuani for this exact reason. Everybody's permafrost is down, and you just can't escape. And giving a triple kill over to Bao here is devastating for Los Ratones' chances of winning. This champion loves being able to play from a little bit of a lead. You can see already in a great spot in this match.
Strategy that Lost Ratones themselves employ a lot, right? Crowny Corky has been devastating and loves to play with the lead. He said as much himself, and now Bao is in that position already. With a Triforce done, tier stacking up, the cull about to be completed. This acceleration is only going to continue for Supermassive, so they have come off the starting block very, very well today. 3,500 gold up before the plates have even dropped off. They've almost got the trail from Boots locked out as well. And Lost Ratones going into this series on a big back foot.
Really are. They might be about to lose another Drake as well. There's no real response out of the Rats at this point. is just going to be the Drake going over SuperMassive in complete control of this one, like you said. And I think something very emblematic of that, you mentioned the culls. Crowny, Bao, they're pretty much completing theirs. Look at what Baus has still got. He's still got forever to still be trying to stack this one up. Just hasn't been able to have as good of a time early on in this matchup. 0-2, not the end of the world for Garen, but as we were highlighting right at the very beginning, right? You want to be able to do a bit of split pushing and a bit of getting stuck in team fights on this champion. Well, if you're behind, if you don't have those resistances to be able to do that, to be able to get stuck in, then you're missing out on so much help from this as a top laner. There are lots of standard top laners that were not picked up right here because of all of the target banning to Baus's specific weird little picks. There was no real focus on things like the Ambessa or the Cassante, things that have been massive for every other top laner for good reason. Those champions give you a lot even if you do fall behind. Not the same for this Garen.
Yeah, the Carl really does feel a little bit like a, well, I think my early game's a little bit wrecked, guys. I'm just going to get the Carl that's going to give me a little boost to play around later on in 10-15 minutes, you know, when I can actually join the game again. First turret secured by SuperMassive as well. There is the triumphant boots. All 3 possible feats picked up by them. It shows you how good this early game has been as Nemesis again slides in. The W is down, but he doesn't commit the ult this time. Here comes the ultimate version. Fiesta getting some trades. Drops low, but cannot really be pinned down to kill, as is usually the case. Reckless drops a ward to see if he can find a sleepy recall, but will not be able to.
Just going to be a safe enough recall right here from Fiesta. Has the teleport up and available because there is going to be a Rift Herald spawning in just under a minute's time. SuperMassive, they've already been able to crack a tower with those 5 grubs early on. They could crack through this mid lane as well. Going to open things up so much for the coming Atakan and Drakes in the future. You can see right now they're still being able to push these mid lane waves through very easily at the moment. Really haven't been pressed too much. For more recalls coming through, and with those recalls happening, it does look like Ratones are at least going to be able to clear out the vision around this Herald Pit, set themselves up for something. They are in an okay spot with first items being completed to try for a team fight, but it really does require a few very good ultis out of Reckless, Velia, and Nemesis to be able to make it work.
Yeah, if they can get back on the same page, if they can get that target selection correct in the fight, you're absolutely right, Block. So there is still the tools for Ratones to make a play here. And, you know, we can see Baus doing his thing in the bot side, going for the proxy, with his cull still to be done. You know, this is what we'd expect. It's probably the most valuable thing he can do right now. The Garen, when behind, is really not that effective. And you see Armut doing the same in the bot side. But what I'm looking for SuperMassive here, they've got the lead. They have effectively won the lane against Baus. They've pushed him behind. They've got Armut accelerated. What I need to see them do now is start ignoring him. This is what everyone else fails to do, is they keep going back to him again and again. But instead, they're committing to this fight around the Heralds. They've already got the Lost Ratones jungler down to a sliver. He manages to get out, drops the ultimate. Fiesta for the kill, does get it online.
Oh,
and he flashes away. Baus is TP'd in, gets the shutdown as Nemesis shuffles away the SuperMassive team. Crowny ultimate blocked by the shield. A timely W for carry keeps him alive. A 1-for-1, but a shutdown for Lost Ratones. All in all, not too bad.
Yeah, they're going to be happy with that one. Velia's died plenty already. Not going to be the end of the world there. I thought Fiesta was just about going to be able to live. Looked like he was just going to be able to tiptoe his way back out of that one. But it wasn't a particularly well-executed fight right there out of SuperMassive. They decided to go all in onto Velia. Makes sense when you're trying to play around a jungle objective. But then all of a sudden, Fiesta ends up in the backline surrounded by a lot of people. Now, LeBlanc is slippery, yes, but apparently not that slippery. Ends up getting taken down, and giving over that shutdown, like you said, is going to be massive. It also does go on to Baus, so that's going to go quite a ways towards at least making what was a difficult early game manageable coming into this mid game.
Yeah, 100%. And this is something that Lost Ratones had struggled with Baus before, is getting him to TP and show up into the fights where he needs to be. And they did not have this problem here. They needed Baus there to drop the Garen ultimate, secure the kill on Fiesta, and he was there in time to pick up the shutdown. So a little bit more of that cohesion building up for Lost Ratones. It's not a team that's been together for a long time, but they're still working on this and improving. So love to see that. SuperMassive, however, not deterred. It was still a 1-for-1. It wasn't exactly massively losing for them, and they're still picking up turrets back to 3,000 gold ahead.
And I was expecting them to try for the Herald to crack this mid lane tower. Apparently they don't even need it. Just able to step up onto that one nice and easily. Fiesta actually going to get jumped here and is caught under tower a little bit, as we've been talking about. Fancy feet on a LeBlanc. What can he do here?
He's trying to keep him under wraps right now. Bao and Cowie rotating over as fast as they can. The Marco is there. There's the switch to advance. Nemesis needs to get a range to burn. Velia can almost do it himself. He's flipping back and forward, and Reckless picks up the credit. But now the Corkies come around the corner. 3-0, remember? This guy is blasting on the AD carry. Nemesis slides in to shove them back, but only serves up a double. Skeens now cutting off the retreat from Reckless. Can Crowny get his support out of there? He can. Offers the E. And the ult comes through. Skeens just happy to keep this extended right now. Armut's on the bot side looking for an angle in as well. There's no tower to protect them. Jumps over the wall. The flash is being burned. Relentless are Supermassive's top side looking for these kills. They won't find any more, but that just shows they are hungry for more. They want to punish Los Ratones when they're in 2D.
Oh yeah, the aura of Armut blowing the flashes right there out of Crowny and Reckless. They just have to get away, and yeah, sure, you're pretty slippery again on this Rakan and Ezreal, but you really want to have these flashes up. That's so much of the extra engage for Reckless gone, that's so much extra survivability for Crowny taken off of the board. And it really is just another set of wins right here for Supermassive. And you can see the difference between a team fight where Bao is able to sit in, open up, do what he needs to on this incredibly fed Corki, and one that we saw previously where he wasn't able to. Very much of this game between Supermassive and Los Ratones is going to be on Bao and how much he's able to actually deal the damage with Corki. Pretty short range when you're trying to get as much damage out of that Gatling gun as possible. With threats from Los Ratones, it could be a little bit tricky, but he's been playing it out excellently so far.
Absolutely, a Supermassive can keep him safe. You know, he does put himself in the range of a Rakan W ult, of a Nemesis shuffle, of a Velia W, but if he's got that front line to protect him and he picks his moment, we can see Bao is devastating right there. Herald picked up by Los Ratones to the top side of the bot lane tower. Fell for Supermassive as well. All the outers from the NLC representative now down. Do have a Herald themselves to see if they could drop it in the mid lane if they so wish. The Atakan has now spawned as well. A Ruinous in game number 1. Don't seem to see Los Ratones. They don't want to start it on spawn. They'd rather actually subject the bounty top.
Yeah, and it's just extra gold into everybody's pockets, especially trying to get Nemesis into a good spot in this game. There aren't too many champions that you're worried that an Ezreal can't get through. You know, he might have trouble a little bit with Skeens, but should for the most part be able to deal the damage. If he's able to have the items, very much just trying to get themselves a bit of a lead that they weren't able to establish during the actual laning phase. And they are down 3,000 gold, the Rats, but it still feels like because of the heavy teamfight orientated composition that they've got for themselves, it can still work, right? They're not in a completely down and out position right now. Crowny though,
Crowny! He's right into the ult from Skeens. He's probably gonna live it, but we need to give that Sejuani some credit. Bao has TP'd in, trying to get the frontline damage down. He's got 2 items, but Bao is still shredding him with the Gatling gun.
That might be one of the single sexiest Sejuani plays I've ever seen. That was gorgeous from Skeens. Like you said, it doesn't result in a kill, but still, because Bao's able to arrive, you deal plenty of damage, buy yourself a little bit of extra space, a little bit of extra time around this mid lane, can push it out. There's not too much to really play for on the map at the moment. It still looks nice, though.
Yeah, golf claps all around for Skeens on that one. That was very pretty stuff. Maybe puts the fear into Crowny for the later fight. If this guy's already in my head, even when he can't kill me, he knows where I'm going. So you've got to be careful.
Yeah, he's in my head. How do I play this one out? I mean, dang, that was so much fun to watch. In the end, a shame that it doesn't really turn into anything, although I guess if you are going to be an NLC fan here, pretty good that it doesn't. Once again, though, Crowny getting jumped, is able to jump away from this one. Sandwiched, though.
Oh, dear. Carry around the corner with a point-and-click ultimate, and Bao picking up the credit. Looks for the hook onto Reckless as well, but that will not land.
Looks like it is going to be a bit of a push over towards Atakan right here for Supermassive. Without that ADC, without that 2-item carry for Los Ratones, there isn't really going to be any response at all. They're going to be able to get themselves a tier 1 tower in the bot lane. It's something. You can see the pings onto the tier 1 in the mid lane too. If they can grab those 2 towers, it's not the end of the world. Still though, the Ruinous Atakan right here with the first 3 Drakes in their back pockets is going to feel great.
Yeah, and the Goats still being held by Velia. They're not pushing for this mid lane outer. Instead, they take a position in bot side jungle and then back away. Clearly some other plans at work here for Los Ratones, but Supermassive happy to pick up that objective. Already 3 dragons deep. They're going to benefit from that increased power. Their grubs as well, 5-1. They'll get value out of that. So they're going to be very happy with this extra boost that they have. Los Ratones we're still waiting to see what the plan is, right? We're waiting to see what the proactivity can be to get them back in this game. Perhaps they are just inevitably, eternally waiting for the power spike that never comes as Supermassive just stay ahead.
Yeah, I mean, hey, there is always a chance. Maybe can find that big ulti if you could get Baus into the backline. I think, though, if I'm looking at somebody right now on Lost Ratones to be able to carry them through this one, it's got to be that bot lane. And I think Reckless specifically, right? This champion, the Rakan, can do so much in a team fight. If you're able to get an amazing ulti off, get into the backline, a big grand entrance to be able to help out, and that is a way to be able to carry this team through. And Reckless has had a bunch of great performances. The Braum so far in this tournament has been especially fun to watch, and I think the Rakan is an extra level of unlock for Reckless to really be able to show what he's got right now, get his team back into this game.
Yeah, that one lockup can just keep Bao or Fiesta, maybe even Armor in place long enough for the damage to come down to eliminate them. But they have to find that angle. Got to get a little bit tricky with it because the front to back's not looking too good. Fiesta going in for a little bit of a trade there. Interesting, he's gone for the Liandry's Blackfire Torch as well. He's not gone for full burst. He's going for repeated damage for long-form content, as it were, from Fiesta in the mid lane. Continually checking these brushes and forcing Lost Ratones back.
He doesn't need to be that one-shot burst. Oh, actually, that's decent damage back from Lost Ratones right here. Baus, Armor, they're having a bit of a fight right here, and Supermassive, they're going to be able to collapse on this one much quicker. Baus is just going to get chased out here. He has to recall, surely.
Getting kind of clonked. The Sunder Sky Triforce doing work for Armor. Has to back away. Obviously, the Garen passive will heal him up before too long. Not quite level 16. It's not its maximum power, but it is still going to be very valuable, and he doesn't have to pull the full recall. Dragon spawns. It would be sold for Supermassive, and now the Herald comes to Belly, but wow!
The Armor
again chunking out the Ratones. Here comes the ultimate schemes. Belly tried to cross the passage but couldn't make it. Nemesis ulted by Nautilus, but he comes to re-engage. There's Reckless. Carry going to be the first of the ball. Baus is deep in the backline. Absorbs the attention, but trades top for support.
And that Herald that we saw picked up ages ago, basically just wasted, gets popped in the mid lane, doesn't go anywhere, and now you've lost out onto your top laner. Sure, carry isn't here, it's going to make taking this Drake a little bit tricky, but this is Soul, remember, this is a massive Drake right here for Supermassive. Not having to worry about the Garen is going to make it that much easier to try to play around this one.
Yes, the spot of failure. Armor as well. They've isolated the jungle. Lost Ratones are nowhere near. Dropping lower and lower, but Nemesis comes in with the shuffle to save failure. It can't get him in range of the Drake, and Supermassive, they've got the Soul. Bao now finally under pressure. Crowley flashing forward, but traded by Bao. They can't get the kills. And the longer this fight goes, Supermassive can't heal up. Armor! 4-man counter-strike. Double on decks, and the re-engage for Supermassive. It is an absolute catastrophe for the Rats.
And the carry gonna respawn after dying at the start of this fight as well. And Reckless, not long for this world, gonna give them the runaround, gonna delay a little bit of time. This is gonna at least buy a little bit less pushing time for Supermassive, but in the end, they're gonna pick themselves up all of the kills. It's a delayed ace after Baus dies in the initial bit of engage. And Supermassive, they are in complete control of this game. They're looking to turn this one into a Baron.
Masterful stuff from the TCL first seed in that fight. The way they played it out was just so well done. They get rewarded with the Soul, with the Baron. They have everything they need. Only 3 kills secured for Lost Ratones over 27 minutes of gameplay. It is a tough game one for the Rats, and they have to now, maybe even we're just thinking about next game at this point. It looks almost impossible to bring this one back as Fiesta catches catches Baus on a little bit of a push to the bot side. I mean, we're probably not killing the Garen at this stage, let's be honest, but we certainly can annoy him for a whole lot of time.
Yeah, and you said earlier on, can they ignore Baus? Well, they haven't really needed to, because he just has been grouping up a lot. Very different to the Baus that we would be expecting to see. And I think that's part of why Fiesta is just matching him when he can, not really paying too much attention. The Garen isn't exactly getting to chunk through these towers at the moment. And so, 27 minutes into this game, with the Baron-empowered minions pouring in through a lot of these waves, what can you do as Supermassive to keep your foot on the gas right here? Make sure that Lost Ratones don't get their way back into this game. They're going to be pushing through the mid lane and the bot lane. Top wave nowhere to be seen, though, so they've not exactly got everything synced on.
Not looking too far ahead. They know the Armor's not that there. Baus gets hooked up, and legendary goes Bao. Reckless as well, did what he could, but ended up serving himself to the slaughter. Schemes diving past the towers. It topples. Armor has arrived. Doesn't go for the stun, but it's 2 more clean kills for Supermassive, and they keep the push going.
pushing this one further and further forwards right here. Really funny, actually, that damage in teamfight draft, because Armut doesn't get involved until the very end when he gets a triple kill. She's going to be pushing on towards these Nexus towers right now. Can they end here?
We're just going for it. Supermassive
They
don't
can
have time
end.
to waste. It's the whole best of 5 they've got to play out right here in the first game.
Done.
It's looking like a done deal. Both turrets down. The rest of Los Ratones can do nothing. 28 minutes to victory. Supermassive coming out swinging in the quarterfinal matchup.
My lord, Trajan. That's definitely not how I expected